In mainstream media, there is something called agenda setting. And agenda setting is just explained as media setting the conversation of the day, what Kenyans should talk about. Straight, I want you to look at the two headlines. I want to look at two headlines. Number one is the first headline by Sunday Nation. It's the same newsroom. And the second one is a headline by the Swahili Nation, the Swahili version of Sunday Nation, Taifa Leo. And they will paint a picture. And let's start with the Nation. Sunday Nation has a headline, and it's a very controversial headline. So I think I grabbed it and I was like, so surely, what was this? Was this even now? Inside push for Raila 2027 run. That is the headline. And the headline and the byline and the picture, that's where it all started. I know, yes, that for media consumption patterns, sometimes when you don't fail to mention the name Raila, especially in this print space, they're somehow related to the sales. So there is an attempt to make sure you have Raila in the headline so that you sell. But did you have to bring, we are actually in July 19th. I have read that article and it is not a news. They've just picked conjectures, some of few gossips and rumors about things that are happening and put them together to come up with that article. So this is published by Nation. And after that, there is this one, Risasi ya Sita. This is Taifa Leo. This Risasi ya Sita, Taifa Leo is also a newspaper that is produced by the Nation. And so I was just wondering, we are, as currently for the last few days, the country has been speaking about the cost of living. Yes, the country has been speaking about the cost of energy, the cost of fuel. But then from nowhere, there is a splashed headline about Raila Odinga's 2027 presidential bid. I need to say this. I think last week we met Raila. And one thing I realized is, and I think this is from my observation, is that he doesn't want to speak about 2027. We even tried asking, everything to run was like, I must not be a president. I think that's the response. Must not be a president. And how do I run? I don't think he's so much committed into that. And I think even the Azimio Fold has tried to remain cagey. But you then tend to wonder or ask yourself a simple question, as in, what is the agenda? How urgent is Raila Odinga's presidential bid 2027? Do you think that is an interest that Kenyans want to know now? Yeah, let's just be a consumer, take it as a consumer. You realize that it's not something that is even of interest to Kenyans as we speak. But having known the outcry over the fuel hike, I tend to see some clearly choreographed strategy to divert the attention of the country from the national monster. We are simply diverting the attention of the country from what, according to me, has been the discussion. And I want to explain more on this. Before that, allow me to remind you, kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, like our video, and thank you very much for those who are supporting us. Let me tell you, even on today's Tuesday, so on Monday, I think over the weekend, there was just another article about Kalonzo charting his own path. We'll look at that. And for media covering Azimio had a press briefing on Monday. They gave about their position. Azimio had a press briefing. Azimio had a presentation to the bipartisan talks, calling for some changes or rather revival of the BBI proposals in the current discussions going on in Bomas. And what happened? Azimio have given them. So even if someone wanted to cover something on Raila, I tend to think that the presentation that was done before the Bomas committee yesterday could already splash the headlines and still run with Raila. But there was an objective to float this discussion of Raila's presidential bid. I think the intelligence wants to know, can Kenyans embrace alternative power over these Kenya Kwanza failures? Because there is a general feeling, I think even the latest TIFA research survey showed that 53% were feeling that the country is going in the wrong direction. So those who have floated this discussion about Raila Odinga 2027 bid are simply trying to find out whether Kenyans would actually embrace an alternative leadership. Are Kenyans regretting having voted for William Ruto over these failures? And if I want to tell you, this headline or this agenda did not just come over the moon, this just come from the moon. Let me tell you, the one aspect that I also realized is immediately the country started talking about the fuel hikes and President Ruto's failure or the HOS failure to manage to address the cost of living. I saw pro-government bloggers rushing to the X app, Twitter, to explain to us how Uhuru Kenyatta affected this country, or even telling us how William Ruto might not have succeeded in addressing this, but no day should even think of Raila Odinga. So they've tried to create that. But the second objective here is, while we are creating that diversion, there is an effort to explode Azimio la Umoja, so that if it explodes, you create an agenda and you bring in political formations. Explode it in this sense. As things stand now, Azimio la Umoja remains the only alternative voice against Kenya Kwanza. I think there is no any other one. So they know very well that they can take advantage, or rather they can benefit from the ills of KK and consolidate a massive support. And the massive support, if you look at the faces in Azimio, if you look at Kalonzo, Raila, Karua, and the Western team and all that, it's a formidable team. The only person that's still not yet visible there is a team from the coast. But it's a very strong, formidable team. So this would be a strategy to make sure that as things go through, if they can be disintegrate, because this debate, everyone knows that 2027 should be a clear, there should be no secret that the candidate should be someone else who's going to be endorsed by Raila, probably Kalonzo Musyoka. And the next in line should be Kalonzo Musyoka. So when you float that Raila allies, and I've looked at that article, by the way, you know what they're saying there is, Raila allies are saying they want Raila to vie so that they can hang on his coat to get their positions. And look at here. Are those new assertions? Those things that everyone in the political space know very well, that those around Raila Odinga are pushing him to remain in the political space so that they can use his national clout to get their positions back home. That's something that do not need, it's not new. I read that article and I was looking for what is new, what's the new development? Is it an endorsement? Is he getting endorsement from some foreigner somewhere? I did not find anything new about that article. Number 3, Kenya Kwanza are interested by all means to craft a Raila versus Ruto contest so that Kenya Kwanza can bring up anti-Uhuru agenda. I want to tell you, many people, Kalonzo Musyoka has not stepped out clearly and strongly to show his muscles for taking on Ruto. But Raila Odinga has had 5 attempts at presidency. And those tell us that he has won all of them and not been declared in all of them. But Ruto would want to meet Raila in the ballot and not Kalonzo Musyoka. And I want to tell you why. whenever Raila is in the ballot, it is going to be a weapon used by Mount Kenya politicians so that they also consolidate the vote. That successfully, if you can talk bad about Raila in the mountain, you have something. So I think even the Rigathis and so, they want Raila, and that's why behind this agenda, they want Raila to be in the ballot. Because when Raila is in the ballot, you can have a rogue agenda. And through that, you consolidate some support. The other reason why this article is floated, or rather this narrative is floated, is because when you create a Ruto versus Raila contest, you actually bring Uhuru's shadow in it. And what will stop the politicians you see around from telling their supporters, their gullible supporters, that Uhuru Kenyatta is remote controlling Azimio, and that's why he has insisted on Raila becoming, you will hear the name of Uhuru Kenyatta appearing somewhere. And you know, it will be like Uhuru Kenyatta wants to remove William Ruto, and William Ruto will even say, I supported you first term and second term, now I've worked one term, you want to remove me the second term. It will be the same thing. So that's one reason why I normally believe that if Kalonzo can come out of that comfort zone and look for his own votes, in fact, should not even think of Raila pushing for him, leading the front. Raila should only tell his supporters, support Kalonzo, then Kalonzo walks the talk himself. Lastly, I think the intelligence want to test the popularity of the president amidst these government failures. How many people are supporting William Ruto? This discussion is about testing the popularity. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at what agenda is doing in Kisumu.